Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host, Sam Dark, and back co-hosting with me today, Yuli DiMartino. Welcome back, Yuli.
So excited to be here.
Hey, as a reminder to our audience, thanks for being here. Post your questions and comments to social media. Your engagement drives today's show. And buckle up, speaking of which, for an action-packed show today. We have got a heck of a lineup, Yuli. And I'm excited to unveil it to our vast audience here. Today, we've got Fixed Ops Director Extraordinaire, the great Tully WIlliams. And he's going to share with our audience and with us what he calls the single most important metric for auto dealer success in 2025. He'll share how Niello Auto Group tracks it, how they improve it, and what he says most dealers miss not understanding it. So excited to hear from a high-performing, high-producing, very successful fixed ops director. Plus, later on today, David Long, many of us know, shares a secret to acquiring the best used cars building buy centers, of which David's opened over 80 across the United States and Brazil. Yuli, I want to know why Brazil. What's going on in Brazil that we want a used car buy center? And we'll get into tariffs and a whole bunch of other exciting things on today's show. But first, today's automotive headlines. Breaking news this morning from General Motors this week. General Motors CEO Mary Barra spoke at a recent Wall Street Journal Future of Everything conference, saying the company's still committed to EVs, but shocker, they won't rush a transition customers aren't ready for. GM also announced it's investing, get this, $888 million into a V8 production for trucks and SUVs as a hedge against current market conditions. Now, whoever comes up with the budgeting projections at GM, I want to know how they came up with $888 million for a V8. Very clever. Yes, thank you for the sound effect there. Barra also backed tariffs on Chinese EVs, saying they're key to protecting U.S. automakers from being undercut on price and tech. Want to know more about that? Google BYD anywhere in the world aside from the United States. And you see some interesting things that the Chinese are doing, and they're winning in other marketplaces. So tariffs in that case are key and critical to our continued success. Finally up today, as part of the CDG Weekly Recall Watch, Ford has issued a new recall affecting over 1 million vehicles due to a software bug that can cause rear-view mirror cameras to freeze while reversing, increasing crash risk, of course. The recall spans more than a dozen Ford and Lincoln models from 2021 through 25, including the Ford F-150 Bronco, Mach-E, Expedition, Ranger, Mustang, and several trucks and SUVs. While the fix can be handled remotely via an over-the-air update, the issue highlights how software failures are now a major driver of recalls in the auto industry. This is the fascinating stat, not the fact there are recalls. There are a lot of those in the industry. Software-related recalls have nearly doubled in the last decade. And now, get this, we'll get Tully's perspective on this. Nearly 1 in 4 recalls can be completed with an OTA update, which impacts customers coming into the dealerships and having service, and those recalls performed live and in the dealership. So interesting news there on the recall front, 1 in 4 OTA. Finally up this morning, franchise dealer reputation rankings just dropped from, everybody was waiting for this, wide whale, and Ford made the biggest jump in the rankings last quarter, climbing 8 spots from 25th place to 17th in overall OEM reputation, driven by a sharper focus on fixed ops and review management. While Lexus, Toyota, and Honda held the top 3 spots, Ford's rise shows how fast dealers can move the needle by getting the fundamentals right. So you can see the top there, Subaru 5th, BMW, Honda, Toyota, and Lexus. Toyota and Lexus maintaining those top 2 spots. At the bottom of the rankings, Jaguar, Mini, Lincoln, Cadillac, and Genesis, all scoring below 80, dragged down by lower review volume, slower response rates, or weaker customer sentiment. And today's market review performance isn't a nice to have. It's a lead source, a loyalty driver, and a reputation scorecard that updates in real time. Interesting insights from this reputation survey, Yuli.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting all around because Google reviews still are a primary driver to showrooms. But what I find interesting as an insider, obviously, is with the exception of the top 3 or top 5, there's really no correlation between profitability and customer sentiment to the dealership. I mean, you see some OEMs that we know are struggling that are doing a really good job curating public opinion, getting those good reviews and taking care of negative reviews. So, I mean, the dealers are doing what they can to maintain an advantage, but ultimately that doesn't necessarily relate to net dollars.
Yeah, so you're referencing some of the OEMs we talk about, Stellantis, Nissan. There's a delta
Mhm.
between where they rank here and where they might rank on the multiplier scorecard, which is the biggest one. So,
Yeah.
well, that's a wrap on the news for this Friday. We'll come back to it on Monday. First up today is part of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm super pumped to bring on a friend of the show, someone who's well known in the automotive industry, someone who I've had a chance to personally spend time with, the great Tully WIlliams, fixed ops director, Niello Auto Group. Tully, how's that for a windup?
Wow, incredible. It was interesting to see that reputation. That kind of leads me right in, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Well, we're excited to have you on the show. Hey, for our audience, you've got a vast audience in the social media world, the auto world. You're an outspoken fixed ops director in a world where, a lot of fixed op directors might not have as big a voice or as loud a voice as you have. So welcome to the show. But for those that don't know you, give us a sentence or two on your background.
I appreciate that very much. Started in the industry out of high school, God knows how long ago that was. But right now working at the great Niello company.
Yeah.
Niello's been in business for 102 years. Super excited about that as the fix ops director there. 10 luxury brands, the oldest Porsche and Audi dealer in the United States with the same owner, which is kind of cool.
So Tully, there's a pic of you going around social media, and it's a William Shatner pic. You're in a spacesuit. It's AI generated, obviously. What the heck?
That's my good friend, Mr. Ted Ings there. We're doing the, rocket blast for 2025. So he likes to dress me up. The one before that was Elvis. So it was pretty funny.
I was expected to hear you were going to go up in a SpaceX rocket ship at some point, go up, pop back down, just like William Shatner did. I think that was a terrifying experience for him. All right, so
I think it was.
We teased something that you're super passionate about. You and I had a chance to talk about this off camera. The single most important dealership KPI in 2025. And I said, wait, Tully, there can't be a single. You said, no, there's a single. And I said, share that with us, and then let's challenge it. What is it?
The single most important thing we need to watch is, remember this, we are truly in the repeat and referral business. And that measurement is your reputation. It is your repeat and referral business. Are you measuring that number? And is that number really truly the number that you look at? When you look at what the manufacturer gives us, is that the true number? What we do at the Niello company is I use it actually do it ourselves because we have our own database information. And we look at our repeat and referral business that way, to look at our stores. If we are not driving repeat and referral business in the service drive, our dealerships will fail. And when you look at some numbers out there, 40s is good. 40s is a fail. 50s is a fail. 60s is okay. But really the magic number is 70 plus. How are you driving?
So Tully, for those that may not know what that metric is, how do you gauge that? Like, what does that mean? So if you have 100 people, how do you define that?
Great question. So I look at 14 months in one visit, right? And the reason I do 14 months is that most of our brands, almost all of our brands, are all within that 12 to 13 month return rate. And what I did is I added another month. The nice thing about it is what we decided to do, which is the most important. And we gauge all of our brands with 14 months in one visit. And that includes warranty and repair and customer pay. Our goal is the customer coming back, and are they happy? And when you look at some of our cars, like our Land Rover, Jag Land Rover, they kind of spread out their number a little bit. They're more like 21 months, but we're trying to reel those people in to come at least one time for a free check to make sure they come in. We can double check. Of course, Land Rover has a lot of updates and so forth, so we can provide those for them as well. But here's the deal. If you're not 70, if you're not striving for 70, then you have to sit there and look in the mirror and say, really, what am I doing? Now, there's a lot of ways to get there, and that's the fun part.
All right, so let's go there. But first, before we do that, you said that a lot of industry averages are in that 40 to 50. So that means only half of the customers are coming back in that basically year time frame. Are you calculating just people you sell cars to, or anybody that ever comes into service? Like, what is that base where you start that calculation?
Great question. Is that we do look at first to service appointments, and those need to be in the high 80s, right? The only reason we would not really get them in my book is the sales department does something I feel very foolish, is they sell the car out of our market. That is the worst thing you can do for repeat referral business, but it's hard to explain that to them. Next is that we believe that it should be the service retention is what we're looking at. Are they coming back in the service drive? Yes, if they've never been to us, we're going to count the sale. But after that, it's all about after the last service visit, are they coming back within that 14-month period?
You said something interesting. So are you telling us, Tulley, to our nationwide audience, our thousands of listeners that are out there, are you telling us that you're encouraging sales at Niello Auto Group not to sell outside of your footprint or your market?
Oh, I say it all the time.
Really?
Think about it. Why would we sell outside the market? Why would
sell
we
a car, profit, deliver a great experience? Wait, Tulley, you have service vehicles. You have service trucks. Send the trucks. Tulley, you can't tell a salesperson don't sell that car if they're from Texas. What's your logic behind that?
This is my crying face at this very moment. But the issue is that when you are truly believe that you're in the repeat and referral business, why would we send our customers out of state? Now, if it's within 100, 200 miles, of course, you're absolutely correct, which we do. We go 3 or 4 hours, a customer will come to us because of the Niello reputation. But the goal is sending something away where you cannot do mobile service or go pick and deliver that car up is foolish, because we are truly in the repeat and referral business. If we sell a car and then hope they come back again, that doesn't really work for us. Our goal is to make sure that customer goes in, buys that car, buys the F&I product they like, and then come into service, and we keep them in the service drive until they decide to purchase their next vehicle.
Okay, so at the Niello Auto Group, you've gotten to that 70% repeat return. Before we go into your secret sauce for that, you're sitting in a room. There's you as the head of fixed ops, and there's the head of variable ops, whoever's in charge of the sales team. You've got
Dennis Gingrich,
Texas. Dennis Gingrich, good friend of mine. Props to him. He and I shared time at Zurich together. You're in a room and you're debating, do we sell this car to Texas, right? You want to deliver the Niello experience there. You want to have people in Texas delighted by the Niello family and hope that Niello opens a dealership out there. Who wins that battle? Do you win the battle or does Dennis win?
Dennis wins. It's a sales organization. We know that.
He has better hair than both of us put together. So he should.
But I think that when you think about that, is that if you have excess inventory, it's probably good to unload that excess inventory, and that's on the variable side. But if you're thinking of the store together, why would we sell a hot selling item for another couple grand to somebody in Maine? Sorry, I just think it's foolish. Keep our customers inside our area and drive that repeat referral.
I love that you conceded that there are those opportunities to go outside, but I also think it's a pretty cool vision, that retention piece. So give us your secret sauce to getting to that. Well, aside from killing all the out of state, out of area stuff, which I don't particularly agree with, but give us your secret sauce to going from 40s, 50s up to that 70% retention.
So I think it starts with is the mindset at your store in the service drive, service manager, parts counter people, service advisors, technicians, and service support. Are we in the repeat and referral business? And that is not an easy task to do that. And then secondly, are you driving those services that drive repeat referral? A great example is that if you're trying to chase a metric that a 20 group is trying to get you to be on the left side or the top of the page, you are not in the repeat referral business. Because
give us an example, Tulley.
Huh?
What's a metric? Give us an example of the metric.
ELR, hours per RO. These are things from the dinosaur age. I'm sorry, people and doctors are still trying to talk about it, but I think those are the wrong things to say. I believe that we should sell our capacity of hours, but really sell those great recommendations we sell our family members. And here are the magic 4. Tire.
Here we go.
We need to sell tires at all costs. We have a buy 3, get 1 free. Oh my God, Tulley, you lose money on tires. Oh, yes, we do, and I'm proud of it. But here's the deal. I have stores selling 70% of our red tires. There's no reason why we should be not selling red tires. Next is red batteries. I'm not jump starting the car and sending them off. We're going to sell that battery. Keep them in the store. Brakes. If you're not at 70 to 80% red brakes, same day selling, you have to look in the mirror. Why not? well, I'm pretty proud of this price. Great, you sell one. I want to sell 1,000.
Yeah.
Right. And last but certainly not least, are you trying to drive maintenance back to your store? All the things I just said destroy a metrics for a 20 group, right? Because they care about trying to get as maximum amount of dollars on a repair order. I believe if we look at great recommendations that we'd sell our family members and selling our capacity in the store, but driving the metrics that are the maintenance, keeping people coming back and no reason to leave is where we win.
Yeah. Effective labor rate, throw that out the door, you say, and focus on hours to get retention. Here's my question when you talk about selling tires at cost. Will you ship the tires out of state, Tully?
No, I want them in the shop. Right? And I want my technician to take a look at that car. I want to take a video of that car. I want to send that video to the customer. And I want to say, we want to do the tires for you. Well, Tully, dealerships are kind of expensive. No, we're not. We're actually less than the best. We will never lose a tire sale on price because we give one away for free all year long, not just whenever a tire manufacturers decide to help us out. Think about this. Think about BMW. Why is BMW doing so well in retention? That's because they have 3 to 4 oil changes free. And
it's included. Yeah.
It is. And then they sell another 3 for $169, which we sell it for, or it's $369, but we reduce it down. They realize if we keep people back in this service drive, what will they do? We get a great trade and we turn them back into another great customer, and we get 2 customers now.
Wait, Tully, you've crossed a bridge too far for a variable guy. Are you saying that service sells more cars than sales does? Because that
tenfold, my good friend.
Tully.
You might sell one in 1921, my good friend, but here we go. We are selling every car, every referral is coming back. If a service department is destroying a dealership, which means bad CSI stands for customer supplies income. If they destroy your reputation, they will
not. You heard it first. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
This is that. How does people sit there and think about that? We've got to get them back in the driveway. We've got to make them happy. And they tell their friends and family to come back and buy another car.
Well, I know one person that would agree. Hey, there you go. You got the bell. I know one person who would totally agree with what you're saying right now on the trade-in piece is Mr. David Long. We're going to hear from him a little bit later on today. Also, we're going to find out what the heck is going on in Brazil where he's buying buy center. So we can't wait to get to him. But you talk about maintenance, Tully.
Yes.
How many stores do you have at the Niello Auto Group? How many?
We have 10. We have 10 dealerships.
How many OEMs? How many different OEMs?
9.
Okay.
So we have two Porsches, 2 Jag Land Rovers, and 2 BMWs.
And are you calculating? So if I buy a used vehicle at Porsche and I want to take it to BMW, can I get my maintenance done at BMW from Porsche?
You can, but that's not the measurement we look. It's back to the store. Great question. Is that
back to the original store?
Yes. And if a BMW is
really
sold at Porsche, yes, because
and you're 70% back to the original store.
Hello, McFly. This is what we do here.
Gosh. Good for you. Okay, so wait.
Going to be is that we want to sell. We want to sell. If we sell a BMW at the Porsche store, is the BMW store.
Interesting. So let me ask this question. I sell a maintenance plan at BMW. Can I take that maintenance plan to any of the Niello stores, or is it tied back just to the originating store?
Anywhere, if you buy an aftermarket one, absolutely. If you buy the BMW one, it has to go to a BMW store. But if you're buying an aftermarket, customer can do whatever they want. We're not going to ever hold a customer back. Fine print to me is the worst thing you can ever do.
I'm just trying to figure out if you're retaining back, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just excited by this because this is something I see as a problem in the industry. Trying to figure out, are you trying to bring your customer back to the group or to the store? And are those two things equal? And then if it's the group, how are you pricing that maintenance so that a service manager at Porsche doesn't come unglued at the price paid for maintenance at BMW and the reimbursement rate?
Great question on that. So every car has its own rate. So a Volkswagen cannot be compared to a Porsche, and 2 different things. But here's the deal. Our service managers realize I don't want to make hardly any money on selling oil changes and factory services. Remember, it's factory services, not oil changes. So the goal is that we have to keep them competitive in that brand with the OEM products to make sure we can maintain that car. So that's part of the conversation that should be at the time of sale. and especially on that first service.
So Tulley and Yuli, we've got a couple comments out there. Yuli, why don't you share the comments with us?
Mario says, when I recently bought my car, it was the first time I have ever seen the sales guy introduce me to a service advisor. And they introduced themselves that they would be taking care of me for future services.
Very cool comment. Yeah, that proves you real. Do you guys do a parts and service walk between before finance? How do you handle that step in the process? You and Dennis working together.
Yeah, well, we don't do that, but here's the thing we think about is that we have so many repeat. When you've been in business for 102 years, we have so much repeat referral business. You know what the best referral is when the service advisor walks up somebody to buy their next car. That is the best thing you can ever have. So yes, we have a lot of times, people buy cars on weekends and evenings, so we're not open. But the goal is going to be is that the service advisor is our best lead generator to buy their next car because they trust their service advisor if we do a good job.
What do you say to the GM that's listening to this show right now? And they're like, you know what? Tully just gave us the secret. They don't sell cars out of state, right? So that pads is retention number. And they've been in business over 100 years. Of course they have a ton of repeat returns, right? I can't do that. My business has only been around for 50. It's only been around for 30. What do you say?
You start with, here's the deal. You need to start with what is your retention number at your store? Are you truly in that business? Are you focusing on selling the technician's capacity and selling what the recommendations that you'd sell your family members? Yeah. You have to start where it's honesty and integrity first, right? Yeah. That's what drives the repeat referral. So you've been open 30 years. Great. 30 years should have enough customers where they should be telling their friends and family to buy their next car from you.
All right. Thinking of the service writer, and then Yuli's got a question for us here. Thinking of the service writer and the technicians, how does your pay plan reflect your commitment to retention as opposed to ELR?
God bless America. So here's the deal, is that I do not care about the money. I say it again. I do not care about the money. All my pay plans, service managers, parts managers, service advisors, foremans, team leads, back counter personnel, all are paid on the hours forecast. And what's the hours forecast? It is when the technician shows up, he needs to produce 9 hours a day. And we base that off of viral records. And here's the deal. We normally sell about 140 to 145% of our hours capacity. When your shop is focused on producing hours, things change. Back counter people, all of a sudden, now are making sure we take those parts out. Back counter people are actually in the shop looking up parts. People are bringing cars in for the technicians. We are monitoring and making sure we're doing quality recommendations. When everybody is on the same page, parts and service managers paid exactly the same on the hours forecast with a percent of gross. Service advisors on a forecast on paid secondary is on the hours on the gross profit. But remember, it starts with the forecast where if you're under 100, you suck. 110, 120, 130, and you get more. The focus is selling the capacity.
Love it. Yuli?
This is wildly exciting, I just have to say. And I have to modify my question just a little bit because part of it was just asked by Sam. But so on the variable side, which is the side that I came up primarily, I tailor the sales pay plans to reward repeat and referral above all else. So it's awesome to see that in the service drive. My question would be, throwing everything out the window, as you said, as our normal metrics of ELR, what are you seeing as far as profitability standpoint? I would assume, and I hope you back me up, that by focusing on customer experience, repeat and referral, your net is probably as good or better.
It is. So here's the thing you got to think about. Net profit is controlled by the dealer, not by the service manager or the general manager, because he's the one that controls the expense. Now, getting that aside, is that do you have enough technicians to produce a profit on the expense that you have? And the goal is that when I look at a technician, when I actually break it down for a general manager or a dealer, is I look at how much gross per hour I produce. And that's parts and labor gross. Our average at the Niello company, $182 per hour net in gross profit. So now I can times the number of hours I need to make a profit. And guess what?
There's Tully's version of it.
Yeah.
No. It's the way to get to profitability. So if we have stores that are struggling with profitability because we built a beautiful store or we decided to put gold, handcuffs on everything, right? The goal is going to be is we know where we need to be. So now the way to get to profitability is hiring more technicians or hiring more capacity. Now, what we do at the Niello company is I do not have a tech shortage. I say it one more time. We do not have a tech shortage because we're always developing technicians coming up as shop assistants to hourlies to flat rates. And it's in writing on how much they can make per hour, starting at the base rate of a shop assistant all the way up to $55 an hour flat rate. And the goal is that we can see the pathway and we can grow technicians. So what we're looking for, we're always looking for the youngins to come in to fill in as people retire or move out of the area. That's what it is.
Tully,
we don't have people leave us.
Tully, that is going to be the topic of the next show because we want you back. We want to talk retentions, service technicians and advisors, and a lot of the fixed ops roles are tough to hire for in the marketplace. Your retention, not only of customers, 70%, your retention of those employees is outrageously high. We want to have you back to talk about that. Tully, I want to know, are you drinking the same cappuccino that Yuli over there is? Because we love
absolutely
this morning as well. So
I want to say one more thing here is that think about this, is that when you look at your retention, what are we trying to do? We're trying to make people happy. What do we do when we sell that car? We want to have an F&I product that sells an extended warranty. When we design that, as your next guest comes up, my good friend, Mr. Long, is that our driveway is our best place to buy used cars because now we have great quality used cars because people are fixing them.
Tully, don't give David Long the answer. Don't give him the answer. I want to hear his answer from the car dealership guy himself. We appreciate you again, Tully, being on. Yossi says, this is a fixed ops masterclass. Go Tully. So we definitely want you back. Tully WIlliams, fixed ops director, the Niello company. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Thanks for your passion, your energy, and you really challenged the way a lot of people think about fixed ops, and we appreciate it today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite. Enjoyed it very much.
Thanks, Tully.
20 groups and ELRs. It's all out the door.
Throw it out the window.
70% retention and a commitment to retaining and keeping those customers. I want to be in that meeting when they're sitting there going, hey, you know what? I'm selling a car to Florida from California. We're going to drop ship it. And Tully's like, no, you can't do that. Because I know both Tully and Dennis very well. I think it'd be a fascinating conversation. So, all right, next up today, industry pulse. So Yuli, new car inventories are up. Inventories are increasing. Many thought during COVID OEMs would never overproduce into the front end margin. Well, margin compression is on, and Brett Marston recently asked dealers on LinkedIn what unique selling propositions actually work when trying to sweeten the deal and attract new car buyers in an increasingly competitive new car sales environment. A lot of great responses in the thread. But I want to throw the question, Yuli, back to you. What are some of the best performing unique selling propositions that actually help close more deals right now?
It's interesting now. I mean, for me, transparency is always key, right? You need your free oil changes for life, lifetime powertrain warranty, free returns within 3 days, menu selling. But it all ties back to it's 2025. People have more information than ever. You have to be transparent. It doesn't matter, I believe, what carrot you're dangling up front. You need to do the things you promise to the customer. You need to follow through, and you need to be transparent. These people are coming in armed, ready to buy. We had this conversation last week. I think 90 to 95% of people that show up in showrooms are ready to transact as long as you don't get in the way.
All right, to our audience, post it to social media. We promise not to share with anyone. It'll just be between Yuli and me and you, wherever you are, and whoever else happens to be on watching the show out there. You're right. We know all the stuff, and Tully shared it with us. But what are some of those truly unique and innovative hooks that bring folks back? Oil change programs, maintenance, an outrageously successful service department helps do just that as well. It is interesting to me, Yuli, in 2025, more important than ever is having a cohesive, well-run dealership where everybody's running towards that same goal. And my gosh, Tully's got me all fired up, Yuli. Yeah. I'm so fired up after listening to him. I think a lot of what he said applies to this question. Yeah?
I agree 100%.
All right. So next up, this episode of Daily Dealer Live, Yuli, is brought to you by Lot Links. Want to move metal faster, make more on every deal? Well, it's all inside the machine. LotLinks helps you take the guesswork out of inventory decisions. Their VIN manager shows you in real time which cars to stock, how to price them, and where to put your ad dollars so you're not wasting a cent. It's like having a crystal ball for your lot, Yuli, so you can buy smarter, price better, sell quicker. Check out lotlinks.com or hit the link in the show notes below, or you can do the little QR screen grab, which I have not been able to figure out how to do. If I'm watching this on X, I've been told you can actually tap your screen and it'll take you there. Don't do it yet because we want you to stick around for the end of the show. But to check out LotLinks, you can scan the QR code and see how the LotLinks machine can power your dealership. All right, Yuli, you ready for this? You ready for our next guest? We've teased him a lot. We've talked about all the buy centers he's opening all over the world, including Brazil. He and Tulley are good friends. Welcome to the show today, David Long, Executive General Manager of Hansel Automotive. David, welcome.
Well, thank you. Good to see you guys. And Tully's been answering my questions giving me the answers for over 10 years. So, well done, Tully.
For our audience that doesn't know, how do you and Tulley know each other? What's the history? Because you were with Niello for a period.
Tully and I worked together at DG. That's where we first met. One of the funniest, smartest guys I've ever met in auto. And then so when I went to take over the Niello company, he was my first hire. I called him right away. Sorry, Sean Del Grant, and pulled him away. And it's been history for him ever since.
So actually, David, you're responsible for the responses we just heard. So, and the results that he's gotten. You hire the right people, you empower them, and they grow an empire, right?
And Tully didn't take the time to tell you that all the things that he was talking about, I taught him, but that's okay. We can talk about that on the next episode.
You know what we need is we need both of you on at the same time, and we'll have you guys go ping pong back and forth. So, all right. David Long, tell us who you are and what on earth you do. We've teased these buy centers. We'll take a minute to get there because I want to understand what's going on in Brazil, but give us a little bit on your background.
So, husband, father of 3, grandfather of 2. I've been doing this for 41 years, almost 42. And I love the industry. I love every part of it, but I fell in love with when Tully and I met with the buy center philosophy. And because I knew that the dealer with the best inventory wins every time, no matter what. And I also knew where dealers were going to get the inventory was the wrong place. So how can you go to the wrong place and still be the one with the best? It doesn't work that way. So that's where it came from.
So in 2025, on May 30th, where's the best place for me to get a used car today to sell to my customers?
Oh, buy private party. Without question.
Okay.
3 places. 1, at the curb, the trade-in. 2, on the service drive. And 3, private party, for sale by owners.
How do you go after the private party today?
Well, you have to pay to get the answer to that. No, I'm kidding.
We won't share it with anyone but our audience.
No, I'm glad. Just keep this secret between you and I.
Just between us.
13 years ago, and Tully will remember this, I was in this little tiny office upstairs outside of Will's office, and I just started calling Craigslist customers and trying to figure it out. In the first probably 30 days, I bought 11 cars. And then after that, I just became obsessed with how can we in this industry buy cars from people that don't want to sell them to us. That became my challenge. I hired 2 guys with MBAs from MIT, and they, through their intellect, helped me figure this thing out over a decade ago, and it's been crazy ever since.
So before we have you go into the solution, walk us through the problem. Why is it that at so many dealerships, we've had a lot of people on the show that will kind of say, hey, we get some of them through the service drive and they'll ring the bell on that success. But it's so many dealerships are a primary source of acquisition is through auctions still and other wholesale sources. Private marketplace is available to everybody, going out and sourcing ads. You say Craigslist, maybe it's Facebook today, maybe it's listings, whatever. Why do more dealerships not go after these other sources that are better than they do?
Well, it's too hard. It is just too hard. I can tell you that there's hundreds of acquaintances that I know that say, I tried that. Yeah. It didn't work for me. My market's different. And they fell in love with the excuses. But the amount of intestinal fortitude and effort that goes into building a buy center that does what many of the 90 that I've helped open have done and continue to do, it's just too much work. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So work. So tell us, how do you define a buy center? What is a buy center in your
A buy center is where it's not the service lane acquisition, it's not the trade-in, it's a single-minded focus on private party acquisitions. Anybody that listed their car for sale by owner from any lead source or any private party sales source is what builds the buy center. So we're buying cars from people, right, that we would have never met otherwise, that absolutely go out of their way not to take it to a dealership. And that's where we're getting them.
So how do you promote the buy center? How do you advertise? Is it Kelley Blue Book ICO? Is it a billboard? Is it a link on a website? Is it an offer? How do you do it?
You don't.
I love
There's
that
no
answer.
marketing involved. So
okay.
I could pull up a financial statement that shows, so the buy center is a standalone business. It would be very similar to if you were going to go open a yogurt shop and not advertise. You just have to have great yogurt. In this particular case, we reach out to the customer. The customer never knows what we're doing, not on purpose, but by cost savings. Tulley said it's not about the money. For me, it's always about the money. And
by the way, it's always about the money, David.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's always about the money. Come on.
Always about the money. So this is not about going out and making a big splash inside the market that you buy cars. And here's why. It's too noisy in the market. If you drive up and down any boulevard, what do you see in the lawn?
Yeah, for sale signs.
We buy cars. What do you do if you advertise? We buy cars. Well, everybody advertises we buy cars. But the fact of the matter is the best way to do it is one-to-one communication. That's why it's so hard. That's why people don't do it.
Yeah. So do you have technology? So obviously for anything to succeed, there has to be a process that's scalable, that's repeatable, that's repetitive, right? So to your point, the billboard, the signs in the lawn, like it funnels people back into a repeatable process. What's the repeatable process that you implement that helps you outreach to those private sellers?
I think what the MBAs from MIT, sorry to interrupt you, where I was lost in the beginning was I thought we could reach out, give a compelling reason for them to sell the car to us, make an offer, and buy the car. The fact of the matter, what I found out was it usually comes down to about the 8th contact before a customer converts. And I gave up way before that. Like it was 1, 2, 3 and done, 1, 2, 3 and done. And I was always doing that and never finding any success. When they helped me identify the same day, next day, 3 day, 7 day, and what goes into the follow-up, everything changed. I've got guys out there buying 50, 60 cars a month individually from private party sellers. Like it blows my mind. And then I have other stores that I help that are at the auction like this, and they're, oh my God, I just bought that car. Oh, I paid too much. And then they have to pay transport. And then it gets to it's just the only way that I know how to really grow a business on the used car side with fast turning inventory that nobody can find is through the private party consumer.
So this person that does the outreach that you talk about, how do you pay that individual to source these cars?
Believe it or not, weekly, very weekly, WEAK, meaning it's not a high perform, it's not a sales manager that you're paying 6 figures or your best salesperson on the sales floors. It's actually the antithesis, the complete opposite of that. Here's the DNA of a great acquisition team member. You walk into Starbucks and you see that person out of the 5 baristas that just lights the place up with energy, that says, "What? Good morning, welcome back. Here, I got it ready for you. I'm so happy to see you. Come with me. I'm going to take you from Starbucks to making $100,000 a year." So it's generally out of all 90, it's been a flat per car, but the person that's in the role is completely different than anybody we would hire for a sales position.
Do you put them in a BDC type room and train them from there, or do you tell them to go out on their own and be great? What?
No. So there's a structured and disciplined process. First, you have to learn the technology. So you have to learn your showroom control tool. You need to learn VinQ or vAuto. You need to learn whatever your appraisal process is. I mean, that part of it has to be done. The interesting thing is that part only has to be done for a week or two. After a week or two, the person's on the phone calling private party listings, making offers. That's how quickly you can take somebody from Starbucks to buying cars. I'll give you an example. There's a dealer in Buffalo. He is, and they are my best buy center of all. They bought 106 cars last month. The people on the buy center team never bought a car before, never appraised a car before, and never sold a car before. Another one, you go over to Lakeway, young kid, 3 weeks on the job, 22 cars, just finished college. Like, how it's a lot easier than you would think, but the success comes from the process and the person doing the work.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
So when you think about the result of this, of having this former barista outreaching, buying these cars, all of a sudden they get a great opportunity they'd never had. Obviously that reduces your average cost of recon probably. I'd be curious by how much. And it probably changes your competitive stance in the marketplace. What are some of those metrics, David?
So it changes everything. I'll give you one example. Store started with 68 cars in stock last month, finished with 120, and generated $650,000 in selling gross. Like that doesn't happen if your cost to market's not in the low 80s. And low 80s cost to market doesn't happen if your estimated reconditioning and your actual reconditioning aren't close to one another, right? Because where most of the margin goes is what? Away through mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have a customer coming to you and you're able to look at the car and rack the car and do all the mistakes are eliminated.
Yeah.
I think this is so fascinating, and this ties into a couple things that we've spoken about on previous shows. I mean, we talked about it with Curtis, our Canadian dealer friend, about hiring salespeople that are out of the car business. And you're talking about hiring people that are not your typical salespeople, because that's not what you're looking for in this role. You know, this is a simple thing to do, but it's not easy, as you stated, to replicate and be strict. I guess my statement or question would be, you know, I've tried to do this personally myself, and I found it only succeeded when I was doing it through the tools that you were talking about, like the auto, where you can see the classified listings and reaching out to them. I would imagine that the customer that you're reaching out to, in this case, obviously they're a motivated seller, and for whatever reason, you know, they're not motivated to come into the dealership. But it is a fantastic structure what you're doing. I need to steer the direction of this conversation to Brazil for a second, though, because why Brazil?
You know, I don't know. I was invited to go speak to the European Dealer Association, and the owner of 38 stores said, I'd like for you to come to Brazil and help me open a buy center. So I flew back and forth and helped him and his company. And it's a pretty cool concept. He has something called the table. So all the values come from one, kind of like AutoNation does, where all you have to do is put the information into the CRM. The table gives the value, and then the person, the ATM, sends the information to the consumer. So in Brazil, it's a super cool place to be, first of all. I loved it there. Having the translator and a bodyguard to show me around the country was fantastic. But they are absolutely completely wide open to do what we do here, or we don't do here. They were so adaptive to what I was teaching them. So that's awesome.
So when you talk about someone who's adaptive and open, what are the biggest mistakes, David, that a lot of folks make or dealers make when they're trying to open their own buy center, when they're trying to get into this business?
They take the skill set they have on the sales department and they try to implement it in the buy center, and it doesn't work. Like my coach, John Malashenko, he always says, Dave, it's not what you don't know that's hurting you right now. Listen to me for a minute. It's what you do know that's hurting you right now.
That's true.
And most of the dealers are so smart and they have it all figured out that they're not willing to change completely, because it's a 180. You get a young kid like a porter. I hired a porter and he had good energy. Tulley knows him. His name was Justin Marcos. And, you know, he was putting stickers on cars, putting gas in the cars. After 3 months, he was buying 50 cars a month. He went from making minimum wage to $119,000 his first year. but he followed every word track. He followed every script. He followed every follow-up piece of the process. He didn't know any different. All he knew is he didn't want to be out on the lot in a 100-degree day putting stickers on cars. So
yeah,
it's just fascinating to me.
The old adage of automotive is, in used cars, the profit is made when you buy it, right? Not when you sell it. And so it is a fascinating concept of creating this buy center staffed with newer folks that are willing to get, by your own admission, 8 no's, right? That's it. Is that an average? 8 no's or 8 contacts before you get to that yes and you acquire that used car.
It's not really the no's we're looking for in this process. It's the ability to stay top of mind, top of inbox, and top of text. We're not asking the customer to buy the car. We're producing information for the consumer that makes us their best choice. There's a big difference in those two things. Would you, if I could, if my managers would pay more, would you sell? It's none of that. No pronouns. There's no me, my, or I. It is just completely different than anything you could possibly imagine. And it took almost 2 years for me to divorce myself of what I thought would work and marry what does work. It was hard. There's a lot of brain damage for sure.
So a little bit of an advertisement for yourself. So not only are you the executive general manager here at Hansel Automotive Group, but you also help other dealers do this. So you go out and do this. How do you manage that? That's a big job. The one job, executive GM at Hansel, is a big deal. But obviously, people have come after you and said, hey, help us do this. How do you manage both sides of that from a practical standpoint?
So I think there's people that believe that I am not a human being because I don't sleep.
Or Tulley, by the way, for that matter. Yeah.
Well, Tully's not human. I know for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen him. We shared a hotel room once, and he is definitely not human.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother show for another time.
Okay. All right. Fair.
So where I get up at 3:30 in the morning, I get all my stuff done, and my consulting starts. I don't go anywhere. I go in my boxer shorts with a collared shirt on my couch, and I coach teams all over the country. And that's where I go. I go to the couch with my cup of coffee with all of the data that I have and all of the solutions that I've developed over the last 10 years. And away we go.
Yeah. And that gives you energy.
Awesome.
You thrive on that, the success that you're helping others achieve and accomplish.
Well, recently, our son, our youngest, remember 3 kids, 2 grandkids.
Yeah. Congrats.
Out of the house. I don't coach youth sports anymore. So I had to find something that I could do to help people grow and develop. This is my hobby. Some people golf. Tully likes to drink alcohol. I like to help people build buy centers.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Well, David, we got a couple of comments from our audience. Armand Dorosas, this is live and helping me out, which, by the way, David, thanks for helping provide tremendous value to our audience. This is the purpose of this show between you and Tulley, giving things that folks can instantly implement. Jay Law, David and Tulley, what a dream team. By the way, I've been in a room with you both in a prior life, and you guys are a heck of a lot of fun to sit with. As long as I'm not on the selling side, that truly is a challenge. Well, David Long, Executive General Manager, Hansel Auto Group, a heck of a lot of fun to have you join us today. We'd love to have you back at some point in the future and talk a little bit more about some of the next steps and things that you're working on at that 3:30 a.m. in the morning as you start to train and coach and help lead others. But thanks for being here on the show, David.
It's my pleasure, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks, David.
Thanks for having me.
Interesting stuff going on today, Yuli. So between Tulley and some of the fixed ops takeaways, and then David on these buy centers, I think one of the things that impacted me was truly, it's not an easy thing to do. It's simple. You've got to follow a process, and you got to be tenacious and stick to it. You got to have a process, which, apparently he has. But the returns, as we know in used car inventory, are outrageous. And it's not the billboard. It's not the website bolt on. It's just hustle, which, God bless America. That's what the car business is, right? It's hustle, Yuli.
He said it very simply, right? Though he with the best inventory wins. I think that's really, that is the dot on the I, the cross on the T. Side note, I think we should go check out the operations in Brazil and see how one of these buy centers functions.
You go check them out. Let us know. We'll keep the show running here. You come back. The security thing is fascinating to me, but it is interesting though. Automotive is different in every country from here in the US. We need to have them back and understand some of the difference between Brazil and here. I know Mexico is very different. So the challenges that every country faces can be very different. But hey, a reminder to our audience, we stream here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's Friday. That's a wrap on the week, which means we're back on Monday. 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. We appreciate everyone that joined us today to watch the Daily Dealer Live, where we break down the biggest moves in the car business live. And as they happen, don't forget, we're live here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as I said. If this is your world, hit like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you never, ever miss a beat. And everybody, thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.